It all started in a quiet FBI conference room where secrets began to unravel. Later that night, two men met in the shadows, each guarding their own secrets. The deeper he looked, the more tangled the web became. In the end, the truth came out, but at a price no one expected.
I know you're onto something, brother. When you send me these things in like the middle of the night, and it's the new breaking news out of Just the News, I get up in the morning and I see other news services have literally retyped John Solomon's breaking news with their own like headlines. So I know you're onto something. Walk us through the latest development in this seditious conspiracy case that we're all pursuing, sir.
Yeah, so we talked yesterday about Adam Schiff, that there's an eyewitness on his own staff that went to the FBI, said he was leaking classified information. The FBI also had suspicions that James Comey's handpicked PR consultant, who he paid for with tax dollars. He brought this guy on to be a special government employee. His name is Daniel Richman. He's a Columbia Law University professor. And this guy admits, listen, I went around the FBI press office. I was Comey's guy to the media. He's working with the New York Times, one of the reporters that wins that Pulitzer that President Trump is now suing over. And he's feeding him information. And at some point, the FBI becomes concerned that maybe Richman leaked classified information, because he attends a meeting with Comey where classified information is shared with him. He then has a contact with the reporter who then writes about the classified information. And so they confront him, and he gives, I think, maybe the greatest non-denial since Bill Clinton said, it depends what the meaning of is in the Monica Lewinsky scandal. Remember when he tried to parse words to suggest maybe he hadn't had an affair or lied about an affair with his White House intern? Richmond says, when asked, did you leak classified information? I'm pretty sure I didn't confirm it to him, and I'm sure with a discount that I didn't give him the classified information. The discount means you got to give me some credit. Maybe I didn't do it, or maybe I did do it. It's a remarkable denial. All throughout this, what you're seeing now is that the top echelons of government, we're using classified information, we're using secret anonymous leaks to the regime news media, the legacy news media, to create a false narrative to the American people. And James Comey is right there. So is Adam Schiff. And I think we're going to learn some others. There are some redactions in the documents I got yesterday, and I'm hoping that Pam Bondi and her team will lift those redactions. The Justice Department may have a couple of other Comey lieutenants who may have also admitted to leaking. Right now, those are redacted out of these documents. I'm pressing and I'm getting good reception. I think they'll do the right thing here. But if we can get those redactions lifted, we're going to know just how widespread Comey's leak machine was and whether any of it was classified. I want to point out one thing about what you learned about this. Daniel Richman's honest about why he was hired. He wasn't hired to help the American public. He was hired to help improve James Comey's image. Just think about that, and to set a narrative, i.e. the Russia collusion narrative. I think we have to go back and look at whether that special government employee contract was worth the American taxpayers' money.
Explain to the audience why a special government employee, this is not some guy just coming in as a consultant to do one thing. This is a guy that's not just doing a favor to somebody who knows, like, if they want to be the intermediary with the post or cutout. This guy, they actually make a special government employee. At the same time, when you read through this, they're setting up meetings for people to brief the New York Times and brief it in detail after the classified information's going from this. So this is a very organized effort to spoon feed the New York Times highly classified information. Correct, sir?
Yeah, and listen, what you see here is that the New York Times wins a Pulitzer off of some of these stories that are leaked to them by the FBI. And you now realize that the person who's involved in some of that admits the goal was to set a narrative. What was the narrative? James Comey's not the bad guy he's been made to look out to be. And we want you to think Donald Trump is a Russian stooge and that there's real reason to do it. So the leaks actually have a purpose. Now, isn't it ironic that the way Richmond describes this, that they're setting a narrative, is exactly what the whistleblower on Adam Schiff said. Adam Schiff said, I want to set a narrative that maybe puts Donald Trump on a path to being indicted, or for me, Adam Schiff, to get on some Watergate-like committee. You can see now that the legacy media was used by this very targeted leak campaign designed to give information out that, is somewhat true, but completely misleading. By the time they're leaking Russia collusion, the FBI already knows that Christopher Steele's dossier is bunk. He's been fired. But these guys are setting the narrative for personal and political agendas. And I think that is what's so disturbing about that. The U.S. government is playing a dirty trick on the American people using newspapers like the New York Times.
Two things. Number one, by the information they had, they should have been focused on the Chinese Communist Party, right? They're getting a twofer here,
That's
are
right.
they not? It's a misdirection play. It's a misdirection play in the whole Russia hoax. Because Russia hoax is just not about Trump and his team. It's also about Russian intents, and that's why this is so important coming out, so brilliant coming out on the run-up to this meeting where I hope we set the framework for the rapprochement, just not Ukraine, to undo all the damage that's been done by the deep state. So talk to me a minute about that, because the CCP, they had warnings, and the CCP is where they should have been focused on in 16, and yet you don't hear any word about that. They get a twofer. Let's smear Trump and his people, at the same time smear the Russians, sir.
And let's keep in mind what happens in March of 2016. In March of 2016, the FBI gets a dump of documents from Hunter Biden's business partners, and they are now aware in the spring of 2016 in a unrelated case involving an Indian tribe that was fleeced by some of Hunter Biden's business partners, that Hunter Biden has these really deeply concerning ties to China, right? That there's a whistleblower from a bank that sends something to the Securities and Exchange Commission. The FBI gets a whole bunch of grand jury documents. So the FBI has every reason to worry about Democratic ties to the Chinese party, and also about whether Hillary Clinton's emails and foundation were corrupt and corruption and security damaging to the United States. And they're just going to hang a fake Russian shingle on Donald Trump's house to change the dialogue. It's important to put all these investigations in a timeline. You start to realize they had reason in 16 to worry about the Democratic Party in China, and then they start working on this other narrative. That is irrefutable now.
John, also, they don't want to you see the mainstream media in the narrative war right now. They don't want to touch these allegations and the whistleblowers and anything like that. One of the things they keep going, well, you shouldn't spend any time on it because the statute of limitations has run out. Can you just inform our audience why this information is relevant in an ongoing criminal investigation today and why it could lead to actual indictments and prosecutions?
Harmeet Dillon, right here on Real America's Voice on our show last week, laid out something that I think we ought to be thinking about. She's one of the keenest minds that the Justice Department has, and she says you should be looking at this criminal case as a deprivation of civil rights, much like the 1960s era where police were accused of violating African-American civil rights during the Jim Crow era. The FBI and Intelligence Committee is going to be looked under the same light. Why? They put Donald Trump, they put Carter Page, they put Mike Flynn, they put George Papadopoulos and so many other people before grand juries, caused them to be investigated, to spend millions of dollars when there was no predicated reason to investigate them. That is a deprivation of civil liberties. In the case of Carter Page, in the FISA warrant, he was illegally surveilled based on false and misleading information. So this is what you're beginning to look at, is they're going to look at 16 to 24 as that ongoing conspiracy. And the overarching crime might ironically be a crime that liberals used to be really concerned about, the deprivation of American civil liberties under the color of government authority. I think that's where the grand jury is probably going based on my early reporting, some of it now on the record with people like Harmeet Dillon. And you saw in the last week in the subpoenas that went out to Letitia James and her lawsuit against President Trump in New York, that ridiculous lawsuit that got that huge fine against him. One of the things that the grand jury subpoena makes clear, they're looking at whether she violated President Trump's civil liberties, civil rights. I think that's what we're looking at, a criminal conspiracy to deprive Americans of their civil liberties and freedoms under color of government authority. So that's why this is all becoming very important.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe, be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you. God bless you. and God bless America.